It's taking his time. Okay.
Okay.
We're recording.
Okay. I'd like to call the meeting to order. We'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Public participation. You're being called public all the time. We should change your name.
This present council's last meeting was their last meeting prior to this time. So there's nothing new in connection with the senior center. There will only be another meeting if there is something special comes up between now and November 14th. That's when the new council officially is sworn in for office, and things will happen. So I'm your representative at the moment. We'll see what happens after November 7th.
Thank you. Approval of the meeting minutes. Anyone having? They're really nice.
They are very nice. It's a pleasure.
Yes. Anyone have any changes or questions or anything? Okay. And we don't have to vote on that, right? We didn't last time.
You don't typically, I mean,
Yeah.
you can, but you've set the precedent that you
Yeah.
don't, so it's okay.
Jamie, you're on. Staff
Okay.
report.
All right. Thank you. It feels like we just met like last week because we had a later meeting, the way that the calendar fell, and then we're as early as possible this month on the first Wednesday. But that doesn't mean that we are any less busy. It just means that I have about a week less of reporting than usual for you. A couple of big things that happened. We hosted the library book sale, which was this past weekend. We always enjoy having the library, friends of the library, and the staff and volunteers in. We did a successful plant sale.
Yeah, how'd that go?
It went well. I don't have a total, but they were busy. And then our gift shop manager, Rose, who's a very dedicated volunteer, opened up the gift shop on Saturday, and they did a couple $100 in sales, which is nice. Probably brought in some different customers since it was open to the public. We had, some of this is building related, and some of this is upcoming. Let me just see. We had a bunch of excellent programs that I just kind of described to you as upcoming programs last meeting. We had a Mexican food cooking demo sponsored by Avery Heights. Went over very, very well. We had our continuation of our WISE program, which is an intergenerational program that it's WISE, just so you know, it's like, it stands for something. It's an acronym for something. We worked together with the CCSU gerontology department to do a multi-generational program where the people here go to the CCSU twice for 2 classes. And then the class that's involved comes here once, and they have different topics of discussion that are led by the professor. I did a class on iPhone accessibility features, different things you can do to help your iPhone to work for you. It was very interesting to see everybody try everything and see what worked for people and what didn't work for people and what they preferred. And I think it was all in all very helpful. I'm probably going to do a second round of it in another month or two because there are so many accessibility features. We probably hit 10% of them in the 1-hour class. We had a very, very interesting program that we're bringing back called Tai Chi and Sound Healing. It was a one-time thing. It was a meditation, mindfulness class that involved both music, like very calming music, and some basic Tai Chi moves. So it was really cool. I don't want to go through all these because there's a million of them, but we started a healthy lifestyle tips for a fit brain, which was brought in by a dementia expert from LiveWell. That was an excellent program. We had a couple that we had to postpone, including a meet and greet with Congressman Larson, because as you could imagine, his schedule is busy and subject to change. And unfortunately, we were supposed to have a scam presentation with State Attorney General was supposed to come yesterday. And we figured we'd tie it into Halloween and call it Scams Are Scary. But unfortunately, his schedule got mixed up too. So we're going to reschedule that as soon as possible. We had a nice Halloween here yesterday. We we just had, our typical lunch where we had pumpkins and candy available for the residents, or I'm sorry, for the members. It's been a long week and I'm very tired. Got a little bit of trick or treating going on, lots of candy in the building. And what was the most special thing about it is one of our members' 100th birthday, Blanche. Blanche is a little camera shy. She didn't want us to post on Facebook or make a big deal out of it, but you can't let a 100th birthday go unnoticed. So there was cake at lunch, and we sang happy birthday to Blanche. That's always a nice milestone. Had a couple of meetings this past month, one of which was with the art department for the schools, and the leader of the Newington Public School Art Department came in. We talked about a couple of things coming up, including the spring art show, which we're going to host here again at the senior center. It'll be in April, but the dates are to be determined. They're going to do it a little bit differently this year. Last year was the first year we had it over here after being virtual for a few years, and then at the old town hall before that. Last year we utilized the auditorium and then kind of down the hall to the multi-purpose room and a little bit of the cafeteria, which was fantastic, but we had to shut down programs, during that time. So the art department said, you know what, we really consolidated the time last year. We only did like 3 days or whatever. And a lot of parents said they didn't have time to come in and look. So can we do it longer? So I'd love to, but I can't shut down programs for that long. So we decided that what we're going to do is it's going to be very similar. If anybody remembers the old format of the art shows in the old town hall, third floor, it was like a loop, and all the art was displayed around the hallway and the loop. We're going to do that here, except it's not going to be a loop. It's going to be hallways. So we're going to have all the art displayed in the hallways, on the walls in the auditorium, so that it doesn't disrupt programs. And then in certain rooms, we'll have displays with tables, like maybe in here where this room is not necessarily used for things that are active. We'll set up tables around the room, and that's where we'll display the sculptures and the things that don't go on the wall. So we're looking for a creative solution. They ideally like to keep the art show open for 2 weeks. Give everybody.
How do you hang them on the walls? Because
they bring in some sort of hanging system that worked phenomenally for the art show. It's some sort of long brackets that they attach to the wall with command strips, which are those removable adhesive strips, and then they hang them right off of there. It worked fine last year. So it looks like we're going to have a colorful couple of weeks at the center. We'll incorporate the Art League as well, their artwork. We're also hoping to get a small committee together, and we've been talking about this for years, and we finally have somebody at the high school who's interested in doing this with us. And again, creating a mural in the TV lounge, making it a project between some members here and the students at the high school. I am in the emergency operations staff for the town, and we did an emergency operations statewide exercise a couple weeks ago. And I was involved with that. And it was very interesting. It's good to do them from time to time. The situations that they give you, they start off like kind of like, okay, here's an emergency. And then they become worse and worse and worse as the day goes on. This one was a train wreck that involved this hypothetical situation for anybody listening at home, was a train wreck that involved chemical spills near both two schools. And so it's a statewide exercise. All of the involved departments, the fire department, the police department, us, human services, highway, parks, met, and we went through this as if it was actually happening in real life. Very interesting. I will say that, again, the senior center, it would be very involved in townwide emergencies, just like we were, 12 years ago this week, actually, during that storm of 2011, when 99% of the town had no power. We are an auxiliary shelter. The high school would be the main shelter because it has shower facilities. But say if the high school was involved in the emergency, then we would become the backup shelter. We're also the pet shelter if there's any kind of long-term emergency, because we have hard floors and we have kitchen facilities and we have adequate restrooms. Anybody who would need to shelter with their dog or cat or fish, I don't know, pet, would come here. So it's good to be prepared. We talked about how we would utilize our dial-a-ride buses and our staff, to evacuate people and to check on people who are homebound. So it's something that's like, you kind of hope it never happens, but it can, and it did in 2011. then can happen again. So it's good to stay on your toes. Always interesting thing to talk about. And I think that's it for what we did in the past couple weeks. I have a lot of upcoming stuff when we get to that part of the agenda.
Okay. Updates, and discussion with benefits eligibility. Karen.
Yeah, I'm gonna have Karen come here since we have people joining us online. That way our commissioner online can see her and hear her. Watch your, go around, Karen, go around that way. It's cord.
And I like your name.
I just,
Except I've had people say, "Are you a Karen?"
Oh, yeah.
Don't start with that.
No, I would not say that.
I'm Karen Halpert. I am the Eligibility Programs Coordinator here at the Senior Center. I've been full-time for 12 years, but I've really been part of Human Services and the Senior Center for about 29 years. Most of it was part-time. So my job has evolved over the years. I work very closely with Terry Snyder, our social worker, and we both work in the INR, the Information and Referral Center, and help anyone who walks in. Most of the questions we get are about housing. That seems to be a huge issue for people. They come in thinking that they can find housing quickly when they find out the list is about 2 to 4 years long. So you can see in their faces how distraught they become. So there's a lot of things that go in there. People ask they just ask for all kinds of things. We do the best we can to help them research and get the information that they need. One of the biggest parts of my job is the LAHI plan, which is a state energy assistance program. So last year I did myself 600 households from the beginning of September until the end of May. It was used to be a much shorter window of time, but now it's just become a year-round program because it takes the agency I work with is Community Renewal Team, and they had a disastrous season last year. They had so many people apply, not enough staff, and they opened up the internet to have people apply online, but those went nowhere until the end of the program. And so people were scrambling to get them completed. So I had people who utilized the Human Services Department quite a bit last year to get some help to pay for oil so that they could start off the winter warm. Unfortunately, the funding has gone down, every year in the past couple of years. So the maximum gross income, in case anybody knows someone who qualifies, the maximum gross income for a household of one is $41,553. A household of two is $54,338. And then it goes up by increments of about $13,000. Every year, the income level goes up almost at the same rate the COLA goes up for Social Security. For many, many years, they used to look at people's assets. So that always kept the number of people applying down because you couldn't have more than $15,000 in any account as a homeowner and $12,000 as a renter. They did away with that 3 years ago. So now a lot of people are applying. So I'll just give you an idea. If your income is at the lowest level of the program, or you're a senior, or you have someone under 6 in your household, you would get a basic benefit of $530. I don't know if anybody here has oil heat, but that might not even fill up a tank.
Is that per month?
No, that's one time for the season.
Oh, wow.
Then once you use that up, there are folks who can get one crisis delivery of $410 or two this year at $410 each. At some point, if they still have money in the program and it's very cold and the price of oil is high, they have been known to add a third crisis assistance for people. For some people, they can get through the winter. They don't have a big house, they have a newer furnace, but for others, it just doesn't even take them through the winter. So I will then get in touch with Human Services, send them information, have the client contact them, and they will apply for Operation Fuel. However, last year the program closed down early because they ran out of funding.
So there are some people whose tanks are empty right now and they're just waiting to get approved so they can get some oil. The other part of that program is they help people who have gas heat and electric heat, and even people who have heat included in their rent. So for gas and electric clients, if you qualify for energy assistance, you can apply to what they call a matching payment program. So if you pay $50 a month, you pay that usually from November until the end of April. You get your energy assistance money. If you have a balance remaining, the gas company or electric company will match you to a zero balance. But you have to make your payments appropriately. And I help people set those budgets to what they can afford. I have access to the portal for the gas company and the electric company, so I can help clients and protect them from shut off, tell them how to get medical protection, and figure out a payment plan for them. And then lots of times people will call because they want to know, did I make all my payments? How many more do I have to make? So you're constantly changing hats, in dealing with all of this. So that's really the biggest part of my job, because now it's almost a year-round program when it used to start out as just a part-time program for a couple of months. I also work with the assessor's office. I've worked with the deputy assessor for years now, coordinating the homeowners tax relief program, and the veterans program. So that usually takes place, state statute says February 1st and goes until May 15th. So I help them compose the letter to send it out, the applications, people come in and meet. We fill out the application, we make sure it gets filed with the state, and then people get their relief off their taxes. And piggyback to that, there's a program for renters who does the same thing. So same income levels. So this past year, just to give you an idea, the income level for a married couple applying to that program is $49,100, and that's gross income. And for a single person, it was $40,300. We always suggest to folks, if you file a federal tax return, come and apply after you have that. That's the documentation we would need to apply to the program. So with me helping the assessor's office, I've been able to find people who qualify for energy assistance. And helping people with energy assistance, I found them to apply to the homeowners or the rent rebate program, which has worked out very nicely for this town. And I think it's something that's not really done in any other towns. So it's worked out nicely to make sure that revolving door and people know what they can apply to and apply to it, and not feel badly about applying. Because some people think this stuff is welfare, and it's not welfare. They're all grant programs. So you never pay them back. But it certainly helps you survive and stay in your household longer. And then, I help at the center here. We're short-staffed in the office. I help in the office. During COVID, delivered Meals on Wheels, worked going in the van and bringing people goodies and smiles and ice cream sundaes. And so we all pitch in, help each other out, but it makes for a really nice, varied job. But I think a really important one. I think keeping people warm and safe at home is probably the most important thing we can do for our residents here in town. Anybody have any questions?
Yeah. Are the numbers climbing?
So back in 2008, that's when we had the recession, right? Oh, I did almost 800 households because so many people had lost their job. It started out in a program at not quite even 300 households. So it has grown every year. I'm finding now as people are aging and retiring and their income levels aren't as high, more older folks are coming in to apply when they might have felt uncomfortable, but because the electric bill is so high, the groceries are so high, their taxes are difficult for people not making a lot of money, they are coming in, which is really nice. I say, these programs aren't secrets. Spread them out. Tell people take the flyers, spread the news, because you can help your neighbor, stay comfortable in their own home and not freeze, which is not something you want to do. So the numbers go up and down, but they've been going up since. And during COVID, we couldn't have anybody come in here, so I did all the applications through the mail. and on the internet. I emailed things, they emailed me back. And I thought that was going to cut the numbers down, but it didn't. It just, yeah, because I think people were even more stressed then because they were home. So they really needed the heat and the electricity, protection from electricity. So the electric company, I'm not sure if you're all aware, but Eversource has a new program that's going to be starting in December. It's a new discount program. So for folks who are getting SNAP benefits, which used to be called food stamps, they just need to contact Eversource, supply proof of that, and they will get 50% off on their electric bill beginning in January. The same thing for folks who are energy assistants. There's a whole list of programs. If they qualify for, they can apply to this new discount program. I believe the only piece of it that I'm making people aware is not really in the literature, is that if you go and apply to this program, you cannot change suppliers. You have to stay with Eversource. So for some folks, they've done the calculations as best as they can, and they've realized that they're better off changing suppliers. They'll save more money than going with Eversource, because Eversource's rate's going to go close to 23 something again in January. So, but I can protect people from shut off, so I can at least do that, which is helpful. So, any other questions? Yes.
Have you posted things on Facebook?
I believe that I know the Rare Reminder has stuff in it. The Newington Life has it in. I posted here. I send.
What's happening in Newington?
I don't do any of that stuff. I don't know if Jamie has. I don't post anything. I don't get involved in the internet here or the Facebook or.
We have posted it. Mostly we post more information about our activities and events and programs. We certainly can.
Yeah.
But we do put it out through all the proper channels.
Yeah. Yeah.
That we're required to do so.
And where I have a tenant that might avail himself that you said there's a flyer somewhere.
Yeah, I've sent it to Human Services. They've had it posted in their office. I haven't posted on the bulletin boards here. I leave them in the information and referral room for people to take out,
So they
pick
have
up.
to come here in order to get something.
Yep. Now, there are people who are homebound, so we do apply through the mail. CRT started a new program this past season. They can apply on the internet right through to DSS. If they choose, they can do that. There are some folks who go into Hartford at CRT and apply because the certifiers there can certify the app and approve them. I'm only an intake person, so I intake, but they process. So I have a designated case worker at CRT in Hartford that processes Newington's claims along with a couple other towns.
But they have to know about it to be able to
Mhm.
apply.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that's what she's saying.
Yeah.
How do they know
Yeah.
about it?
Word of mouth mostly. I think a lot of people tell their neighbors or their friends. As I said, I've put it in Newington Life. I've put it in the Rare Reminder over the years, the Hartford Current, the Herald. Those are the mediums I use.
To the library, to the senior housing.
Yep.
To the
Yeah.
veterans groups.
Yeah.
We get it out there as much as we humanly can.
Yeah. Because I go to the veterans, I go to the Victory Gardens in the spring and the summer to do rent rebate with them. I also go to the housing complexes. I go to the Newington Housing Authority complexes, the three of them. I also go to the high rise and I go down to Meadowview, right down in the back. I go there 2 to 3 times a summer and we do rent rebate with all of them so they don't have to come up here. So I put all the flyers together. I make all the appointment sheets. I just scan everything, send it to them, and they have people that sign up there. So when I come, they have a designated spot for me and I help people. I bring my own copy machine, my own printer, my own laptop. There's a show on the road, a cart. But it's good because some of those folks can't get up here. It's difficult for them. So I try to get out there as much as I can so that as many people can apply as possible.
I just have a question for Jamie. In the Rare Reminder, do you have to pay to put something in there? So if we wanted something every week in there about the programs.
Unless it's nonprofit. Are they
We haven't had any
charging
luck with that.
nonprofits
We
now?
haven't had any luck with not getting charged. We've said we're a municipal department. And
Yeah, years ago it was free. I remember when I did it was free, but it's like it went on the community page.
maybe that still is free. Again, I want to reiterate, we put the information
Yeah,
out there. It's certainly
yeah.
not a secret. You know,
Yeah, no, at 600 households last year, and already since the beginning of September, I have right now I think 180 households I've done. So word gets out. Yes.
Yes, hi, I'm Mark France.
Hi, Mark.
I'm one of the newer members here on the commission. And I was wondering, first of all, if there, you did mention, Karen, that, again, kind of continue with the word of mouth getting out there. I like to follow along with a few questions, making what can I personally do as a commissioner to raise awareness of the benefits that are available to these populations that are in need. So that's the first question I have. And I would say what we can do as commissioners collectively, there's 1, 2, 3,
Yeah.
that's
Right.
that is
Sure.
the 6 degrees of separation, so
Yep.
to speak. So I can reach out to 6 people, 18, 30, 36. There we go.
Yep.
With Chairperson Brecker, Karen, we can reach out a multitude from here moving forward. So in that line of wanting to raise awareness, what can I do? What can we collectively as commissioners do? And for the public at large, are there websites that they can look at? Anyone looking here at YouTube, the recording, or whoever happens to be watching this, can you please cite some websites or some sources that they could look at?
So I am not sure that there's anything on YouTube, so I've never gone to look.
Well, what I meant is that we're being recorded,
Right.
and I believe that this is on YouTube. So if you
Yeah.
could kindly
Yeah.
cite some websites.
So what I've done
people
for
viewing this meeting
Yeah.
can write down at their leisure
Yeah.
some sources.
So the one thing that's real simple, if somebody even has just basic knowledge of the computer, they can go on Stay Warm Connecticut. It might be under DSS, but that'll give you a whole bunch of information. You can just Google energy assistance in Connecticut, and it will tell you all the different action agencies in Connecticut itself, the different regions, who to contact, who to contact to make appointments. I've actually gotten calls from people from New Britain, Wethersfield, and other towns that want to know if they can come here to apply. And I only do Newington residents, but I'll go online while they're on the phone with me and I'll look up energy assistance in whatever town and I'll give them the information, the telephone number, who to contact, the address. I'm not really sure. See, I don't know if you had a program that you wanted to get out there, how would you reach them? As a commissioner, I don't know a lot about how the commissioners would operate in that way.
Oh, sure. Well, I'll even take away the title of commissioner, just say as a tax-paying resident
right.
of Newington and as a concerned citizen. I still, the question still stands.
Right.
So what I would do personally is I use social media. I think a lot of people of my age and generation, and I think a lot of us are pretty well acclimated with things like Facebook, Twitter, or now called X, Instagram. There are so many, TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
There are so many sources out there. I think that's really where the major, in my personal estimation, thrust can go outside of word of mouth is to make a social media presence. It's absolutely free. It's on Mr. Zuckerberg's bill. And, in Facebook, for example, metaverse. But, I would say, why not? To take advantage of social media, Facebook, X, formerly known as Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. There are just so many, Jamie, I'm sure you can think of stuff. Counselor Nick.
But the other ones,
Yeah, I don't know about TikTok.
It's definitely probably a great idea to do one again.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is not, but.
That'd be something I'd have to talk to Jamie about because she would know the town policies on that kind of stuff. That is not something I would bring that to her attention because it's not my place to be putting that stuff out there. I have to chat with her and find out what's available. So,
For sure. We can
yeah.
talk about it,
Yep,
you know,
absolutely.
what was I going to say? Karen, is there some information that maybe we could put together, like summary information that we could send out to the commissioners so they
Sure.
can understand better, and if anybody comes to them as, a board member or just as a neighbor or a human or
Yeah.
a taxpayer,
Sure.
then you have information handy.
Yep.
To kind of pass out.
Absolutely. Yep. I can work on that for sure. Yep.
211.
Yes, 211 also is a place that people can contact to get that information. Unfortunately, sometimes because they have so many calls, people wait on hold a long time.
Yeah.
I always tell people, call your human services department in the town that you live in. Also call your senior center in the town that you live in because they have, I think, the best sources. Everybody has a telephone. So that's something everybody can do. So I've always suggested that to folks. Because if you call DSS, you could be on the phone for hours waiting. There are other ways to find out the information.
And if I may, I just want to commend you for your
Oh.
outstanding work.
Thank you.
I can
Thank
tell
you.
that, just everything you said is just amazing that you're doing this personally.
Yeah.
Reaching out to households personally is more than commendable.
Thank you
And
very
I really
much.
personally admire what you do.
Oh, thanks.
And it's very inspirational, especially with the holidays coming up.
Yeah, thank you. It's also, I think, what's really great is that we work so closely with human services. So they'll send me referrals. That's the other way I find, have clients come in. I get referrals from other departments. I've had people at the assessor's office contact me, the tax department, the town clerk's office, because they are the ones who are seeing the public in various different ways and they have their, information. So, so we do the best we can, to reach out to everybody.
Well, thank you for your kind heart.
Thank you very much. Thank you for
So
your time.
I have
you have one?
another-
Okay.
Another question. I did home care for a
Mhm.
while and Newington was one of my towns. And I never, at the time, I didn't know about these programs. Has anyone reached out to the home care agencies? Because they always ask their nurses and
I don't-
therapists.
Geez, I don't know. I don't, no, I don't think so.
When a home care agency reaches out to us with a question about a client,
Yes.
they will provide that.
Right. Yeah. And I know before COVID, Terry Snyder and I used to make a lot of home visits. We always had our business cards on people's refrigerators, which was good because if something happened to them, the police officer usually would contact us, say, do you know so-and-so? And sometimes we get referrals from them for people who are having difficulty at home. We'll get referrals from the police department. And then it'll start with Terry and chatting with Jamie. And then if I can help them stay in their home, tax relief, energy assistance, referrals with Operation Fuel to help with their water bills or their electric bills. I'll make those referrals to human services. So I used to live in Newington. I grew up in Newington, but I'd have to say, from what I hear from folks, Newington's very well connected. You can always do better, but well connected with its residents. And then we all work together to try to make things easier and better for the residents here. And that doesn't always happen in other towns. So as a town, we should all be proud of ourselves that we do the best that we can with what we have, I think.
And even delivering meals on wheels.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, thank you.
Oh, yeah, that was fun. It was most fun to be in the dial-a-ride vans driving around with ice cream sundaes. So that was a good time. But it meant something to people that we went because, they came out of their households and they were just so excited to see other people, especially during that time, because loneliness is really, can hurt
Mhm.
people and kill people. So it was a good experience for us and it was good for them too. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So before we move on, I just want to reiterate, as you could tell by Karen's presentation, the sheer amount of knowledge and dedication and skill that she brings to her job is unparalleled. Because of her efforts, hundreds of households, probably thousands of individual people, are kept safe and warm in their homes, every year. So we're very, very, very lucky to have Karen. One of the best things that she does do, besides all of the technical work that she does, is she has the ability to recognize that while you're here applying for energy assistance, let's see what else you're eligible for. Let's get you hooked up with Terry Snyder, or a social worker, or human services across the street, depending on their age and their needs, and give them more of like a holistic approach of helping them out with all of their needs. I hope you don't mind if I say, because it is public knowledge, Karen is leaving us. She is going to a very, very well-earned retirement in January. There has been some concern at the senior center among members that we're somehow not going to replace her job. So I just want to use this public forum to publicly reassure everybody that yes, of course we will. Well, no, we're never going to replace Karen per se, but we will hire somebody to be in that position. These programs are not going anywhere. We are working very diligently with the town manager's office to find a qualified person to attempt to fill Karen's shoes moving forward. So I just want to make sure that everybody knows these programs aren't going anywhere. Karen can enjoy herself and take a little time to her family.
Yes, I'm retired to take care of my new grandchild who's 8 weeks old.
Oh, congratulations. You're going to love retirement.
Yeah, well, I'm a little nervous. I've never not worked. And I took only 8 weeks off with each kid.
You'll be working.
So I'll be working, but it's a different kind of work.
It is.
But for free, there you go. By sweat and tears.
I totally understand that because I tried to retire 3 times and kept going back to work.
Well, I figure at least for the first 3 years, I'd like to help take care of them. I did daycare for 10 years in my home when my kids were growing up, and babies can't talk. And once they can get old enough to talk or go to preschool, they can tell you what's going on, but babies can't tell you what's going on. So I figure if I can give my daughter this gift for 3 years, then I'm going to try.
Good for you.
Yeah, this job's important. I've had a lot of people be really concerned when they come in my office, that they're not going to be able to apply to this. And to get to Hartford on Weathersfield Avenue is not really a picnic for people who don't drive. So I'm hoping that town takes it seriously that this job has to get filled. It's important. It's an important position.
I see. Sure. Well, thank you for coming. Thank you for all your service over all the years, the 29 years.
Yeah.
Okay, Jamie, anything under updates?
You got somebody raising their hand.
Oh, sorry.
Hi.
Mark, I'm not ignoring you.
I was just wondering, just as a learning curve for me, being a newer committee member, you said that with Karen's departure, that the town manager would be involved in hiring the replacement for Ms. Halpert, for Karen. How I would propose, if possible, or first of all, can the board or can the committee be involved as part of the hiring process? Number one, just to make it more well-rounded, instead of it falling upon Mr. Hutka and our current town manager, and to see if maybe we could have commissioners be part of the interview process, because I think it's important. This is an important position that's being filled.
I love the idea. Just to kind of briefly explain how our human resources works in Newington. By charter, the town manager is the personnel director. So he makes all hiring decisions with a couple of very specific exceptions. So he's the executive officer of Newington. He's the personnel director. This is not a unionized position. So the hiring process would be that it would be posted to the public, which it should be shortly, along with the job description and the requirements for the job. And then there's a period of time when the job is open. The town manager's staff, his assistant, who is also our HR specialist, would review those applications along with myself to kind of find some candidates who we think would be qualified to go through the interview process. Because it's not unionized, there's some flexibility in the interview process. Typically, the first round of interviews might be a panel interview. If that case, if Mr. Hutka agrees, that's where we might bring in some commissioners to go through that panel process. But again, being that he is per charter, the personnel director, it is really solely up to him. And then after that, we might whittle down the candidates to a few more, assuming that we get lots of candidates, which there's no guarantee. And then we would, the next rounds of interviews would be between myself, the town manager, HR, and then he would then make his final decision and send out an offer letter. I think it's a great idea to try to incorporate commissioners somewhere into that process if the town manager agrees to do so. And once the job is posted and we start getting applications, I'll have a discussion with him about how we intend to move forward with this. But certainly imperative, highest priority would be to get a qualified person who has the right attitude and who's that type of person who can definitely kind of have the all hands on deck thing, attitude that Karen has, and has the patience and compassion to fill the position. You're welcome. And each town's a little different. Some towns have their own separate HR departments. Sometimes, so it's going to be a little different for each town. But in Newington specifically, it's the town manager.
Thank you.
Well,
I know that the Commission on Central Connecticut Health District got a grant for someone to look into assistance with drug addiction and all of that. Is that something that you're gonna do? Or
assistance with drug addiction.
yeah.
We don't have a clinical social worker on staff. The Human Services Department does. However, as part of our holistic approach, if somebody does come to us and indicate that they have, they're struggling with drugs or alcohol, then we would make the proper referrals to the qualified people that could assist them with that. There's a clinical social worker on staff of Human Services. Is it vacant right now? It was vacant recently. I think they've refilled it. I think they refilled. They had a couple of personnel changes over there. So that would be the first. We certainly wouldn't want to get involved in something that we're not, experts in. So we would make sure to absolutely immediately refer them to the correct people. And if there's grant funding out there, I'm happy to apply for it if it helps us to, increase our outreach.
Anything? Anyone else? No? Okay. Jamie, are you done?
Am I? Can I? Yeah. Yes, I'm done. Thank you.
Okay, now we have old business, we have budget, but I think that
CIP memo went out from the finance director yesterday, so we're back in the budget season. The CIP memo is just the first step in us making our requests for capital improvement projects. If we have any, the annual budget memo will probably follow in the coming weeks, which also has the instructions on how we are to, direction from the town manager and finance director on how we are to submit our budget requests for the year. So when I get that, I guess maybe next meeting I might have some more updates for you depending on the deadlines. But we're right back in it. There's no break.
okay.
Okay.
Stage, is that going to be added?
Possibly, it could potentially be a CIP request, but also I've been working on trying to get funding on that for ages. So we'll keep working on it.
Anyone have anything for old business? New business, upcoming activities.
We have a lot coming up in November. It's hard to believe it's November 1st, but here we are. Today, I don't know if this is, I guess not upcoming because it happened earlier today. We brought back our foot care nurse. We have had a vacancy in that position for, probably 8 or 9 months now. And it's remarkably hard to find a qualified foot care nurse. So she came back today, had a full day of appointments. It's $30 cash. She'll also make a home visit for $50. It went very well. So we'll be scheduling her monthly. If anybody's around Friday morning, stop by the senior center. Diane Stone will be here on a visit. She now resides outside of Washington, D.C., but she'll be here on NCOA business, National Council on Aging business, related to our vaccine grant program. We are being highlighted or spotlighted or something with a program. We're going to do a lunch and learn as a pop-up event. It's not in your connection issue because that went to print before we were contacted by NCOA to do this. But there's flyers all over the center and online and on Facebook. We are doing a lunch and learn for vaccine awareness on Friday at 11:45. There's only a couple spots left, but Diane will be here to highlight that. Stop and Shop pharmacists are coming in to kind of talk about all the current guidelines for various vaccines, because it can be confusing for folks of any age to figure out when to get what, and when to get your COVID booster, and when to get your flu shot, and which flu shot to get, and how to time it all. So we will have some lunch available and you can come and discuss that. And like I said, there's representation from the National Council here and we'll be spotlighted with that to kind of get the word out for folks about vaccinations. They will also have flu, RSV, and I believe Moderna COVID vaccines available at that event for people who have registered. So it's just another little way for people to come get their flu shots if they need to. If not, if they can't come to this or they're interested in getting a vaccination elsewhere, they can always call us and we're happy to help them find a provider and to help them set an appointment. So that's coming up Friday. That was a big pop-up thing that didn't even exist a week ago, but we got it done. That we have our before that, next coming up would be our Veterans Day ceremony. Again, I think I described this last meeting, explained this. It pre-pandemic and pre-new town hall, it was held in the town hall lobby every year on Veterans Day. It's organized by various veterans groups, but we are the host. They came over here when the town hall was under construction and there was nowhere to do it. So the Veterans Day ceremony will be on Veterans Day itself this year, which is Saturday, November 11th. The groups that requested that are organizing it requested that we do it on the actual day, not the observed date. So we will be open on Saturday the 11th. I believe the veterans group was sending out invitations, but I'm going to have Barbara Womer also send you information just to make sure you have it, so that everybody, of course, is welcome to attend. It's open to any veterans, any of their families. It begins at 11 a.m. The doors open at 10:30. Afterwards, we are inviting members of the senior center who are also veterans to attend a luncheon, which we will pay for and provide through the center. We wish we could have everybody in the ceremony come to lunch too, all the veterans that come of all ages and all their families. We just don't have the capacity or room to do so. So we've done this for several years in a row now. We'll have the luncheon afterwards. I'll be here. We'll have some volunteers helping us out. So that's our Veterans Day ceremony program. November 16th is finally the long-awaited expo, which we've been planning for months now. It is sold out in terms of vendor space, so we'll have vendors in pretty much every corner that we can. It's free and open to the public. Please come in your connection. I gave you a flyer last month, but I'm giving you another one because it's updated with all of our sponsors. I don't have my own, but we have over 10 gold sponsors. We have, let me just borrow the info's in the newsletter, but I tucked a flyer in for you to see. We have over 10 gold sponsors. We have numerous sponsors of all levels. We will have vendors and exhibits, giveaways, screenings, prizes, snacks, and pretty much any kind of topic that you want in terms of healthy aging. So please spread the word. There'll be healthcare agencies, home healthcare agencies, medical offices, senior housing, financial advisors, nutrition folks, technology related folks, insurance. Gosh, I can keep going. I know there's more than that, but I'm blanking on it. Social Security, Medicare, all those. I believe we're going to have the DMV there launching its mobile unit where you can go and you can register to vote and you could get your driver's license or renew your driver's license, your registration, and it's mobile. And it's going to travel from senior center to senior center. We're hoping to get that there to launch that program at the expo. We're working on it, but I feel comfortable announcing it because I think it's going to happen. It's a great day. It's a lot of fun. So please join us. That's coming up also in November. We have, as always, Barbara did a fantastic job of our programs. Besides the expo and the Veterans Day ceremony, this Saturday is our car fit program. I think we might have 1 or 2 reservations left. It's going to be a nice day outside in the parking lot where you can come in and trained AARP volunteers will help you determine if your car fits you, the way you sit in it, any adaptable equipment that you use, the way that you hold the steering wheel. You maybe need to adjust your seat or adjust your mirrors. So it's a quick 15-minute appointment. It's free, and they'll go over all of that with you here. That's coming up. That's a pilot program for us. We haven't done so yet. We have another Tai Chi and sound healing class coming up because the first one was so popular. We're doing it again. We have Medicare information coming up, a paint and sip class, which is always very popular. Pre-pandemic, we had a healthy brain series presented by Hartford Healthcare. We had 2 dementia experts come in. It's a 5-week program where they teach you about how to keep your brain healthy as you age. It has to do with sleep. It has to do with nutrition, mental and physical activity and exercise. That program, I think sold out 5 sessions in a row. And then we actually had one that started in March 2020 and of course had to get canceled. We were just able to get it back in now because it's been so popular. It's an excellent program presented by very knowledgeable experts. We have a couple of fun things coming up, like next 2 weeks, Monday, funniest moments in film, which is kind of I hope to be able to attend that myself. We have another lunch and learn coming. Actually, no, we just had it today. Never mind. It's November 1st. Finding friends and socializing. The WISE program continues. I can go on because we have so many programs, but we have a lot coming up in November. And we are working diligently to get all of our holiday programs set for December.
Wow.
Yes, wow was right. Every single day, every single hour, there's something going on here. So if you're interested in anything and everything, check us out because we have something for everybody.
Building update.
Yep, the update on the building is windows. At the last meeting, I think I explained to you that the project was a little bit behind in starting the physical replacement of the windows. I think a day or two after that meeting, it actually started. So it's been going on. If you actually, now it's dark, of course, but you may have noticed when you walked in, some of the windows are boarded up along that side of the building. So we've been working very closely with the contractor and the architect to be as not least disruptive as possible. They are on this side of the building, the side with the TV lounge and the computer lab, and then the side with the cafeteria and the auditorium and the multi-purpose room. Those are about as simple as window replacement can possibly get. They have a demo one day. Demolition crew comes, removes the windows, removes everything related. Then they either board and plastic it up, and then they install the window frames. And then depending on the weather, of course, because we've had a lot of rain, so it's sometimes they can't do it all in one day. They install the frames in the glass. They're doing that just one room or one section or maybe two, depending how many windows there are at a time. And that way they don't get we're having multiple rooms being disrupted at once. They're coming back and doing the trim inside, like the trim and paint and have stuff afterwards. But in terms of the actual construction that might have to have people leave that room, they're doing that very carefully. They're working with us. We had to shut down the exercise room for about a day and a half because we had to move the equipment. It wasn't really safe to have people in there with extension cords and equipment and everything else. But other than that, the disruptions have been minimal, including the replacement of the windows in the cafeteria, which didn't even really affect lunch or anything. They just moved the tables over, they did their thing, and it was good. The project is a bit ahead of schedule. I really commend our facilities department, particularly the interim director, John, who has really, really kept on top of everything and has really kept on top of the contractor to make sure that they're understanding our operations and that we aren't going to have them be disrupted or shut down, or they understand the safety that might be unique to a building like ours that we have to do, and the way they stage things to make them as least disruptive as possible. This side of the hallway that we're sitting on, this room, Karen's offices, the arts and crafts room, and so on, this entire hallway will need some environmental abatement. And it's not the windows, you can't see it in here because they don't have it in here. It's the glass blocks that are up against this wall, the door side wall in the offices and in the arts and crafts room. Those need some environmental abatement. There's some low level, and forgive me because I don't know the technical term, but there's some low level of asbestos abatement that will be handled appropriately by the contractor, according to all of the laws and standards of that type of project. So that will be done most likely, that'll be done after this phase of the project, and there may be a little more disruption there, but we are meeting with them to make it as simple as possible and according to all the standards. Again, we're ahead, so it's going to be done sooner than later, and so far we're happy with the progress. The garden's being finally, even though there's still things growing, we're giving up and shutting down the garden. I still have impatiens in my front yard. My mom's died, but my impatiens are still gone. Yes, yeah, it's very confused. So the water will be shut off because we're going to get some freezes, some below freezing weather coming up. So they'll shut off the water. They'll continue to harvest whatever's left. If you stop by the arts and crafts room, you'll see they actually have a lot of things going indoors already, or finishing indoors, or starting for next year. So that's it for the building.
Consideration of upcoming purchases.
I have one for you to decide tonight, if you could, please. As I mentioned, we have our expo coming up. We have 55 vendors there. that it is a major fundraiser for the center. So depending on the organization and the level of sponsorship is anywhere from $25 to $300 to have a table. We expect to bring in a little more than $6,000 from our vendors, which all goes towards our defraying our programming costs, which for us, we can do a lot with $6,000. We do have some costs involved. They're mainly printing of the programs. So everybody comes in, gets a program with all the sponsor info in there, info about the event and info about the senior center because it's open to the public and we want to send that info. So there's that, and then there's some publishing like in the reminder, that type of thing. So our expenses for the expo, we estimate based on our quote from Pronto Printer will be about $1,000. So I would like to ask the commission to please approve a purchase of $1,000 to cover all the printing costs related to the expo.
We have enough tables and.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
everything
Yep.
else?
And other town departments are very helpful. You know, if we have to borrow some from parks or something, we will, but they're borrowing them from us. We have plenty.
Does someone want to make a motion
A motion to accept the,
to pay, to
pay
give
for
them?
the expenses for the printing for the expo.
Thank you.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Good.
I had one more, but I'm gonna do for one more month. It is, I mentioned it last month, it's the replacement new step recumbent bike machines, exercise machines that have reached the end of their useful life. In fact, we received warning from the manufacturer that they've received they're approaching the end of their useful life and they will no longer be servicing them. And the maintenance and service of those machines are vital to keeping them safe. So we are looking to replace them. However, I just applied for some grant funding to do so. So I'll keep you posted and save a little money there.
Next meeting date,
If we follow our typical calendar, it will be Wednesday. Oops, that's not it. It'll be Wednesday, December 6th. I have a schedule conflict that night. I try to keep my schedule free on Wednesday nights, but unfortunately I have a conflict that night. But if the commission wishes to meet that night, I can see if Barbara can fill in for me, or we maybe could change the time, or I'll work around whatever you want to do.
what time would you want to make it?
Later. I don't know if anybody would be okay with that.
What would,
7 or 7:30.
Okay.
I don't want to keep anybody out too late.
No, that's true. Right.
is that okay for you?
Or we could try a different date. Or like I said, Barbara's more than capable of filling in.
So, Dave, is that okay for you or is it you never know.
Would you like me to send out an email to the board and maybe we can discuss it via email? And then everybody could check their calendars and.
Or could we even make it like a Zoom ultimately, like if we can't get together in person?
I think we can, but I'd like to double check with the town clerk because right now I believe the regulations are everything has to be hybrid. But I don't think there's anything, I know you have to offer Zoom when you're in person, but I don't know if you have to offer in person when it's Zoom. We'll find out. I'll find out. Good question. Councilor Nagel, do you have any input into that?
I'm trying to think. I believe you do, but don't.
Okay. No, I'll ask the town clerk. Thank you. No, thank you though.
We have people from the public who are on Zoom.
Right.
come to
Right.
council meetings.
Okay.
Not everybody drives at night.
Right, which is why
Right,
I'm
that's why I
stating
was
that
asking.
I'm stating we might try a different day, or I could just take the night off and have Barbara attend, if she's available.
Well, if you don't feel comfortable changing the time, Barbara could come. I'm sure she would do a fine job.
She's good. She can handle it. But again, I'll send out an email and we can come to a consensus that way. And whatever you folks decide, we'll accommodate however you want.
Now, I have one question about the roofs. Did we have any leakage? Because I had heard some complaints because of the new stuff they put on.
No, it was not related to the solar panels. When we had like that tremendous amount of rain on top of all the other tremendous rain that we've had recently, the roof drains got overwhelmed very briefly, like for one day. and there was a couple of, so they it leaked into the center. Facilities took care of it very quickly and determined there's not a problem. It was just like a record amount of rain, just like your basement might flood every on occasion, when it normally doesn't. That was the type of situation we had. No ongoing issues.
Public participation, do you have anything more?
No,
No?
I'm happy to remain here. We have another session. We'll see what happens once again after the election.
Dave has the best attendance of
He
anyone.
does. 100%.
I'm here.
I count on it.
It's a, I do notary thing, and I ran into this woman, and she says that she waits for dial-a-ride. So I go to physical therapy, and she's there when I come, and she's there an hour later because dial-a-ride doesn't pick her up.
Well, that's something that maybe she should contact us about. We'll explain to her. Is it in Newington or out of Newington? So we are short-staffed in dial-a-ride, something that I've explained to this commission before. We've yet to fill out part-time position. So in order to bring everybody where they want to go, everywhere, to all the important medical appointments, and we prioritize things like chemotherapy, dialysis, that type of thing. Unfortunately, sometimes people have to wait a few minutes to get picked up. I am not aware of anybody ever having to wait an hour outside of an emergency. It's usually between 5 and 15 minutes. So, yeah.
Yeah, when I
Yeah.
answered the phone,
Um,
like 20 minutes is
It's the
longest
most. And
I've
then
ever
we
heard
say,
drivers
and we say, we're sorry, it's gonna be 20 minutes, but
Yeah.
understand we have 2 people doing hundreds of rides around the town. And that includes bringing people to and from the center, the senior center, to and from doctor's appointments all over, shopping, to the bank, to anywhere you might need to go. So occasionally when we pick somebody up, if the driver's on the opposite side of town, and they do a very good job of creating their routes to make it as efficient as possible. But when you have a doctor's appointment, you can't say, okay, so my appointment's at 1, so we'll drop you off at 12:45, but you can't say I'm going to be done at 1:30. It could be 1:15, it could be 3:30. So the return rides are where we get sometimes where people have to wait a few minutes for an available driver to pick them up. I can assure you, if she has an hour wait, she really should contact us and let us know. But I can assure you that we do not have waits that long for pickup, unless there could have been like maybe we had a driver who went home sick or something one day, or there might have been an accident on the turnpike or traffic, but that's not the normal course of business.
Yeah,
Not by any
every time
means.
I was there, she was there,
Okay.
so.
Okay.
It must be, that's what it is.
Yeah. So, okay.
Don't kill the messenger.
No, of course not. I never would. But I'm concerned if she did wait that long.
It might be that some people take ADA paratransit to these appointments too, even if they live in Newington, they don't always
Yeah.
use dial-a-ride. And they look like dial-a-ride vans, but they're not. And I've known people to wait an hour for an appointment to get picked up by them.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's a walker.
Yeah. I will certainly, if she ever did wait that long, I would definitely want to hear about it and make sure that it doesn't happen again. So.
There's 5 other towns that dial-a-ride's all mucked up.
So, right.
Okay, anything else? No. Can I have a motion to adjourn? Second, someone?
Second.
All in favor? So carried.
Thank you. Take care, Counselor.